So hello, mighty family. Welcome back to another episode of Dr. Eric Debunks. Today, we're tackling the topic of sugar cravings. I know there are quite a few of us that have a sweet tooth. I'm hoping to help us better understand why we have sugar cravings and how we can be in control of them to meet our health goals. I think it's important to start today's talk with discussing what sugar is. Oftentimes in my clinic, especially with my patients with diabetes or obesity, I like to talk about their diets to better understand their sugar intake. Because when asked about their sugar intake, the answer is usually no. I don't like candy or cookies or soda. And that's what people traditionally think about when we talk about eating sugar. However, when I start getting into the details of the meals, they start telling me they tend to have a large bowl of rice with breakfast, or 3 tortillas with cheese for lunch, or a big bowl of pasta for dinner. The reason I bring this up is as a reminder that carbohydrates break down in our bodies and become sugar. So even though we may not be explicitly eating sugary foods, we may very well be consuming a high carbohydrate diet that becomes sugar once broken down in our bodies. All right, now that we laid that foundation down, let's jump into why we crave sugar. One of the reasons may be due to insulin levels changing in our bodies. Insulin plays a major role in regulating the body's blood sugar. So when our blood sugar levels drop, an increased spike of insulin in our body, we may begin to crave sugar as a way to get our levels back up. And another reason we may crave sugar is simply due to taste preference. The human body is naturally wired to favor sweet foods as they are often energy rich and nutrition rich from an evolutionary standpoint. But a more common reason why we crave sugar is simply habit. Many of us resort to sugary foods as our comfort food, which then leads to a conditioned response of wanting it frequently. People may also be wondering, if I'm craving sugar, does it mean my body is deficient in some kind of vitamin or mineral? The research here is actually lacking. There is currently no confirmed direct source of nutritional deficiency that triggers sugar cravings. So the next question you may have is whether or not sugar can be addictive. It is important to first recognize there is a reward system in our brain that facilitates addiction. This is called the mesolimbic system, which comprises of many different areas in the brain and is driven by the release of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. So when you eat, drink, have social interaction, exercise, these all trigger dopamine release. With addictive drugs, continued use of them will trigger more and more dopamine release, facilitating constant reward in the brain, leading to addiction. When it comes to food and sugar, however, each bite leads to less and less dopamine release. So in some ways, as you eat and become more full, each bite becomes less gratifying. Due to this, and by the medical definition of an addiction, you can't technically be addicted to sugar. All right, now the more important order of business. That is, what are my strategies to manage my sweet tooth? I think to start, it is important to discuss sugar consumption in diabetics. As a diabetic, you have difficulty regulating your blood sugar. So if you do not eat consistently and are on diabetic medications, you can run into situations where you become hypoglycemic, which means you have low blood sugar. From a doctor's perspective, it is actually much more dangerous to have low blood sugar than high blood sugar because your body can begin to shut down. And once you have low blood sugar, this is when you feel inclined to have that soda or sugary fruit juice to bring it back up immediately. The solution here is recognizing the importance of consistent meals. This way you can keep your blood sugar at a steady state. This will then ultimately avoid the need to consume sugary foods just for the sake of increasing your blood sugar. In regards to the rest of us with a sweet tooth, or those that just find comfort in sugary snacks or foods, there is no magic fix, that stops our sugar cravings, unfortunately. The strategy is really just practicing mindfulness. So sometimes we take one bite of something sweet and delicious, and we can go on autopilot and just keep on eating. So what does mindful eating look like? It means recognizing the moment and being in the present. So in this case, think about eating a red velvet cupcake, for example, and recognizing the flavors, the sweetness, the texture with each chew and bite, but also recognizing why you are eating it in that moment. Is it because it is simply delicious, or is it because you're having a bad day? From there, the next key step is then asking yourself the question of, is this really what I need for myself? And does it meet my health goals? And there are days where that cupcake is exactly what you need, and that's okay. What we want to work past are those moments where we are just snacking and eating just out of habit, and especially when we are not even hungry. And by the end of it, we don't feel great and know deep down we didn't need to put that in our body. I'm guilty of this too, but as we practice being mindful when you eat, you'll soon be able to recognize these moments and be able to avoid them. The last thing I want to discuss that can help with sugar cravings is having a regular sleep schedule. I know, this doesn't sound relevant, but hear me out. Most often, the snacking and sugar intake takes place after dinner time. This happens when we are up late and begin to get hungry since substantial time has passed since dinner. So if you ate dinner at say 6 p.m. and still up by midnight, the body starts to crave those high sugar foods or carbs to get that quick energy boost. That's when those bags of chips or snacks begin to get opened. However, if you have a regular sleeping schedule at say 11 p.m., that entire late night snacking event could have been avoided altogether. All right, let's summarize what we just discussed with our mighty takeaways. 1, there are many reasons why our body craves sugar. It can be due to our bodies actually needing to get it back to a normal blood sugar level, or just our habits built over time leading us to favor it. 2, there is no magic solution to stop our sugar cravings. Rather, it comes from being mindful of what we are putting in our bodies, why we are putting it in our bodies, and whether or not there are deeper issues that we are trying to address with these comfort foods. 3, having a regular sleep schedule can be an absolute game changer to stopping late night snacking. 4, moderation is key. The goal is to not cut out the sugar we enjoy in life, but rather enjoy it in moderation in a way that still meets your health goals. All right, Mighty Family, that wraps up our segment for today. As always, I look forward to connecting with you all again soon. For those that are not a part of the Mighty Family just yet, check us out at mightyhealth.com for more. We're striving every day to be the modern, holistic home for healthy living.